short-form research skills series for graduate students and early career researchers. In each 4 to 5 minute episode, I walk through one concrete framework you can use right away, whether you're planning a thesis, auditing a literature review, designing a seminar, or crafting an elevator pitch. Let's get into today's framework. You've just given a mathematically pristine lecture on complex data features or infrastructure modeling. You wrap up, look out at the room, and only 1 out of 10 people is still looking up. Most of your listeners are busy on their mobile devices. It's not because your data is bad, it's because you didn't manage the audience's attention clock. Today, we are breaking down how to modularize your long-form talks and deploy strategic presentation change-ups to keep your audience fully engaged from your introduction to your conclusion. As a former US professor with 18 years in academia and a career in infrastructure strategy, I'm watching the next generation of researchers get caught in a massive systemic shift. TA are performing poorly in seminars and public lectures, mainly because they design presentations as grueling, unidirectional slide dumps, oblivious to the fact that their audience mentally leaves the room long before the final slide. Why are we so bad at realizing when we've lost our audience? It comes down to a cognitive bias illustrated by a famous Stanford doctoral study known as the tapping game. Presenters were asked to tap out simple melodies like Happy Birthday on a table for listeners. Because the presenters already had the song playing in their own heads, they estimated that 50% of the audience would guess it correctly. But the listeners were depending solely on the raw, isolated taps, and the actual rate of correct recognition was a measly 2.5%. Our ideas always sound infinitely simpler and more compelling to us than they do to an audience who doesn't yet understand our work. If you lecture passively for 25 or 50 minutes straight, your audience hears disjointed taps instead of your broader scientific melody. To fix this, you must ruthlessly design your presentation around the 10 to 15 minute human attention clock. In a short 25-minute lecture or a standard 45-minute thesis defense, you cannot treat your talk as a single continuous stream of information. Instead, Padgett and Yoder recommend designing long presentations as a series of miniature lectures or modules. Each module must contain no more than 10 to 15 minutes of passive listening time. Once that window closes, you must deliberately break the pace of the lecture to restart the attention clock before your audience completely tunes out. So how do you successfully execute a change-up or diversion during a high-stakes talk? It isn't about telling random jokes. The ideal diversion is an interactive element that actively enhances understanding. Here are 3 practical ways to do it. First is through interactive problem solving. Pause your slide and ask the audience to solve a fast and simple problem based directly on something you just presented. Second trick is to take a quick live poll. Stop presenting and ask the room how many of them have encountered a similar situation or artifact in their own field. The third method is a peer-to-peer engagement. Ask the audience to turn to a neighbor and explain a core concept in their own words. Even if you are dealing with a pre-recorded or remote medium where face-to-face interaction is limited, you must still enforce these breaks. Tell the listener to literally pause the video, work through a quick example problem, or analyze a relevant story before moving to the next technical unit. Remember, your job as a presenter is to do the heavy lifting of organizing and summarizing your material so your listeners don't have to strain to follow you. The easier you make it for your audience, be it your defense committee or your peers, to track your structure, the more value they will derive from your research. If you want to stop guessing your pacing and ensure your next long-form seminar, hit the link below to our store. Thanks for listening to SciResMethods. If you'd like the licensed PDF version of this framework, along with more research and presentation tools, you can find them at moonbow.lemonsqueezy.com. If this was helpful, consider sharing the episode with another grad student or colleague.